Hello, friends. It's late now. The room is quieter than before, but the game is still on. And somewhere inside it, there's still something they haven't figured out. Back outside, the light feels the same. The trees haven't moved. The paths are still quiet, but something has changed. Not the world. Them. Tommy takes a few steps forward, then stops. Not because he has to, but because now he's thinking differently. Danny stretches slightly. So, where's level 2? Max doesn't answer right away, because this is where things get unclear. There's no marker, no message after the boss, no hint telling them what to do next. Just the same open world. Waiting again. Max finally says, "I think it's near water." Danny looks at him. "You think, or you know." Max shrugs. Someone said that at school. That's how information worked back then. Not guides, not confirmed facts, just things people said. Things that sounded right. Sometimes true, sometimes completely wrong. Tommy nods slowly. Water makes sense. And it does. But not because the game tells them, because it feels logical. They start moving. Not randomly now, but with a loose idea. Looking for water, looking for anything that feels different. The overworld begins to reveal patterns. Not obvious ones, subtle ones. Rivers cutting across paths, dead ends, hidden spaces between trees. Max notices something. Some screens loop back. Danny nods. Yeah, it's not just a straight map. That's another realization. The world isn't linear. It folds, connects in ways that aren't obvious. Without a map, it's easy to get lost. But now, they're starting to remember. This is the screen with the 2 Octoroks. Go down here, then left. Don't go up. That leads nowhere. Memory becomes navigation. Not perfect, but enough. Tommy reaches the coastline. Water stretches across the screen. Still, endless. Danny leans forward. Maybe here. Tommy places a bomb near the edge. They wait. Explosion. Nothing. Max says quietly, "Try another spot." Tommy does. Another bomb. Another attempt. Still nothing. Danny frowns. Maybe it's not bombs this time. That thought lingers, because not everything in this game works the same way. Some secrets require bombs. Others require something else entirely. But right now, they don't have those tools, and they don't know what they're missing. Tommy steps back from the water, doesn't try again. Not because it's wrong, but because it doesn't feel right. And that becomes part of the game, too. Knowing when to stop. Knowing when to leave something unsolved. Max says quietly, "Maybe we come back later." Danny nods. "Yeah, after we find something else." That idea settles in. Progress isn't always forward. Sometimes it's remembering where to return. Tommy turns away from the coastline, moves back into the trees. The same world, but now filled with possibilities. Every screen might hide something. Every path might lead somewhere important. And every rumor might be true or completely wrong. But without a way to check, without a way to search, they have no choice but to try anyway. And slowly, that uncertainty stops feeling confusing and starts feeling like the point. Because the game isn't just about finding the next dungeon. It's about learning how to look for it. They head back toward the water, not because they're certain, but because it still feels unfinished. That quiet feeling that something is there, just not yet. Tommy walks to the same stretch of coastline, the same empty edge, the same still water. Danny leans forward again. Try a different spot this time. Tommy nods, moves a little further down, places a bomb, steps back, waits. Explosion. Nothing. The wall remains unchanged. Max watches carefully. Maybe it's not every wall. Danny responds, yeah, but how do you tell which one? That's the problem. Because unlike enemies, unlike dungeons, there's no pattern they can clearly see. Not yet. Tommy tries again. Another bomb. Another position. Another attempt. Still nothing. Their bomb count drops. Quietly. Without warning. Until there are none left. Danny exhales. That's it. We're out. Tommy steps back from the wall. Not frustrated. Just thinking. Because now they've learned something. Bombs aren't infinite. And guessing blindly has a cost. Max says quietly, maybe we're doing it wrong. Danny looks at the screen. Or maybe this isn't the place. That idea settles in slowly, because up to this point, they've started believing something simple. Bomb walls. Find secrets. But now, that rule doesn't always work, and that's the next layer of the game. Not every secret follows the same logic. Some walls break, some don't, and some places aren't meant to open with bombs at all. But they don't know that yet. Not fully. Tommy turns away from the coastline again. This time, more certain. Not because he's solved it, but because he understands something else. He doesn't have what he needs. And that realization is quiet, but important. Danny says softly, so we just leave it. Max nods. For now. That phrase becomes part of the experience. For now. Not failure, not giving up, just postponing. Because in this world, you're not expected to solve everything immediately. You're expected to remember. Tommy walks back through the trees, past screens they've already seen, past enemies they've already learned. But now, each place feels slightly different, because they're not just seeing what's there. They're thinking about what could be there later. A bush that looks out of place. A wall that feels too empty. A corner that doesn't quite make sense. Danny points at one spot. Maybe that one. Tommy stops, looks at it, then keeps walking. Because now, they don't have bombs, and trying without them isn't an option. That restraint is new. Earlier, they would have tried anyway. Now, they're learning to wait. Max says quietly, this game doesn't want you to do everything right away. Danny nods. Yeah, it kind of makes you come back. And that's exactly it. The world isn't meant to be cleared in one pass. It unfolds over time, as you gain items, as you learn patterns, as you remember places that didn't make sense before. Tommy pauses for a moment, looks back in the direction of the water, then turns away again. Because now, he understands something he didn't at the start. Not every mystery is meant to be solved today. And somehow, that makes the world feel even bigger. Days later, not all at once, not in a single session, but slowly, across afternoons, between conversations at school, fragments of ideas begin to connect. Someone said it's near the forest. No, I heard it's hidden in a wall. Maybe you need bombs again. Nothing confirmed, nothing reliable, just pieces. Tommy moves through the overworld again, more confidently now. Not because he knows everything, but because the world feels familiar, less like a mystery, more like a place he's been before. He walks past screens that once felt confusing, now recognized instantly. This is the one with the river bend. That path loops back. Don't go up there. Dead end. Memory has turned into navigation. Danny watches closely. You're not guessing anymore. Tommy shrugs slightly. Still guessing, just less. Max smiles. Better guesses. They move toward a rocky area, not far from where they've been before. But this time, Tommy slows down because something feels slightly different. A wall. Plain. Just like the others, but positioned in a way that catches his attention. Danny leans forward. That one. Try that one. Tommy places a bomb. Carefully, not rushed. They step back. Wait. Explosion. The wall opens. A doorway appears. Danny reacts immediately. There, that's it. Max nods slowly. Yeah, that feels right. Tommy steps inside, and once again, the world shifts. Dungeon. Level 2. But this time, it feels different from the start. Not because the dungeon is easier, but because they are. More prepared, more aware. The rooms close in again. Enemies appear. But something changes immediately. Ropes, snake-like creatures. Still. Then suddenly, they charge. Fast, direct, no warning. Tommy reacts late. Hit. Danny leans forward. Okay, those are faster. Max watches carefully. They don't wander. They lock on. That's the difference. These enemies don't drift. They choose a direction. Then commit. Tommy adjusts. Keeps distance. Waits for the charge. Steps to the side. Attack. Hit. Cleaner. More controlled. Another rope moves. Same pattern. Predictable. But only if you're ready. Danny nods. Yeah, once they move, that's it. Tommy starts to understand. This isn't about reacting after they move. It's about anticipating before they do. He waits, watches, sees the moment just before the charge, steps early, avoids it completely. Max smiles slightly. Yeah, you're getting it. They continue through the rooms. More enemies. Harder combinations. Less space to move. But Tommy doesn't panic anymore. He doesn't rush. He doesn't swing wildly. He waits, chooses his movement, controls the fight, and slowly, without anyone saying it out loud, they realize something. They're not just surviving anymore. They're learning how the game works, not through instructions, not through guides, but through experience, through mistakes, through memory. Danny leans back slightly. This one's harder. Max nods. Yeah, but we're better now. Tommy doesn't respond. He just moves forward, into the next room, because now he doesn't need to be told what to do. He just needs to see and decide. By the end of the week, they haven't finished the game. Not even close. There are still places they don't understand, still walls that don't open, still paths that lead nowhere, still questions without answers. But something has changed. Not in the game, in them. Tommy sits back slightly, the controller resting loosely in his hands, not gripping it tightly like before, not reacting to every movement, just holding it. Comfortably, Danny stretches. You think we're far? Max shakes his head. Not even a little. They all smile quietly, because they know it's true. There's more out there, more dungeons, more secrets, more things they haven't even imagined yet. But somehow, that doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels exciting. Because this isn't a game you finish quickly. It's a game you live with. Over days, over conversations, over quiet afternoons like this one. At school, the discussion continues. Not organized, not accurate, but always interesting. Try pushing rocks. Burn the trees. I heard that works. There's a sword that shoots across the screen. Don't go to the graveyard at night. Some of it is true. Some of it isn't. But no one really knows which is which. And that's part of it. Because without a way to check, every idea matters. Every suggestion is worth trying. Tommy listens. Doesn't argue. Doesn't correct anyone. Because he knows something now. Even the wrong ideas sometimes lead to the right place. Back in the room, the sun is lower now, the light softer, the shadows longer across the carpet, the same room, the same TV, the same game, but it doesn't feel the same because now they're not just playing it, they're understanding it a little more each time. Tommy turns the console off. The screen fades to black. The quiet hum disappears. The room becomes still again. For a moment, no one moves. Danny speaks first. We'll get further next time. Max nods. Yeah, we will. Not confident, not certain, but patient. Because they've learned something more important than where to go. They've learned how to keep going. Without answers, without direction, just curiosity and time. And that's what made it different. Before the internet, before walkthroughs, before solutions were always one search away, games like this didn't give you everything. They asked something from you. Attention, patience, memory, and sometimes a little bit of belief that what you were doing, even if it felt uncertain, was still progress. Tommy stands up slowly, the controller placed gently beside the console, the golden cartridge still inside, waiting, not finished. Not solved, just paused, because this world was never meant to be rushed. It was meant to stay with you. Across days, across conversations, across moments when you weren't even playing. And maybe that's why it felt so big, because every discovery felt like it belonged to you. Not something you looked up, not something you were told, but something you found on your own or together in a quiet room on a warm afternoon in the summer of 1988.